and Honorable Mayor of Houston, welcome you all to this very special lunch session.
Deputy Mayor, Chief of Staff, and all distinguished guests from Houston. I've just told my friend that you can stay 2 more weeks. It's an offer, 2 more weeks. We are very excited to have you here. And Ghana and Houston can do a lot of things for each other. For now, I just want to invite my brother. Please come over.
Shall we please welcome the Honorable Mayor of Houston Sylvester.
On behalf of the President of Ghana, the Minister of Commerce and Culture, GTA, I have a singular honor and privilege to welcome my dear brother and his team from Houston. Cheers.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Wow. Please put your hands together. Wow. 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 It's an afternoon of one word, one part. Please put your hands together.
This is a typical Ghanaian symbol. It means unity. So far, the unity between Houston and Ghana.
Wow. The Chief Executive GIPC will join in the presentation of special courtesies to the Mayor of Houston. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Wow. Yeah. And here the special part comes.
This is our Ark of Independence from the center of the world. I think it symbolizes global independence.
Wow. Wow. Global independence. Wow. 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 And the CEO of Ghana Tourism Authority, in assisting the Honorable Minister, will do the last presentation.
Vice Mayor, please.
And this will go to the Vice Mayor, and I'm referring to the Honorable Martha Castex Taylor. Please put your hands together. Wow. Wow. Put your hands together, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
Thank you.
And now the mayor will respond to the toast. Please welcome, with a very big round of applause, the Honorable Mayor for Houston, Sylvester Turner. Please put your hands together.
Thank you so very much.
Please be seated.
I want to thank you for taking the time on a Saturday to be here along with the other distinguished guests on a Saturday to welcome the City of Houston delegation. So let me just say I'm honored to be here. You know, I started when it came time for me to talk, just to say thank you and drop the mic and go back to my day. I was going to stick to 2 words. But I have to say thank you so very, very much. And where is Chris? Y'all want to make the presentation now? Do I do it later?
He's good.
Justin. Oh, Justin. Can you see it? We talked about Mr. Minister coming to the City of Houston, and I know you are planning on coming. And you know we host the largest rodeo in the world. Now that rodeo, of course, is for 21 straight days in March, however, of every year. But to get you ready, when you come, we'll provide you the horse, the boots, and the cap at a later date. But I do want to present this symbol of the City of Houston, this belt buckle that we wear. It symbolizes that we're on the train, but we're a city that's moving forward. And in this relationship with God, we're on the train and we're moving forward.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Wow.
Much better for them. We are standing and we are hands together for each team distinguished Ferdinand, the Honorable Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture.
And the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. Welcome Honorable Sylvester Turner and the delegation from Houston. This occasion is of great significance for us. I mean, as we break bread, it reminds us of the bridge breaking and the bridge gap that we are trying to do through the return. As some of you may be aware, and all of us are aware here in Ghana, since 2019, Ghana has made a concerted effort to reach out to the African diaspora. And so we are quite excited that among the many dignitaries, political leaders, celebrities that have come here, today we are hosting Mayor Turner and the delegation. So once again, you're welcome. As we break bread today, let us also acknowledge that this luncheon is not just about food. It's also about networking. It's about getting to know each other. It's about making sure that one of the pillars of our Beyond the Return project, which is the diaspora pathways between Ghana and the rest of the African family, is bridged. We have here in the room leaders from tourism, from energy, from aviation, from sports. We've also brought to the table today several leaders of our business community here in Ghana. And so as we go through the formalities, as we break bread, I want us to get to know each other, get to share a word or two, and more importantly, get to make a commitment to each other. And never again are we going to be so separated, that we are using this platform to make that pathway east, use this platform to promote Pan-Africanism and the innovation of the heritage that we have as Ghanaians and as Africans.
After 400 years of slavery, Ghana has achieved, or Africa has achieved, political independence. We need to go beyond that to economic independence. That is why President Akufo-Addo has placed entrepreneurship at the center of his economic activity. We think that is why we have STEM, we have TVET, not just giving people education, give education that equip them for the world of work. So my trip with my team to Houston, entrepreneurship is going to be at the center of it. We need to create at least 1.5 million jobs every year in this country, direct and indirect, for the next 10 years. So our relationship with Houston is going to look at different things. Entrepreneurship is key. A very equipped, well-educated youth is an asset, not just to Ghana, but to Africa. Thank you so much.
Oftentimes, we extend an invitation to those from Africa to come to the United States. But in order to establish a reciprocal relationship, we in the United States need to go to Africa. We want it now to come here. But words can be many. What people are now needing to see, they just need to see some action items. And that's what needs to happen now. To follow up, and we need, as I've said in other places where we've been, people need to see some success stories that will symbolize in substantive ways the relationship that we're talking about. Thank you, Mr. President.
It's labeled Africa, the dark continent. It wasn't too long after they had another title which says Africa Rising. And today, Africa Rising is much more real than it's ever been before. And so for us to be able to reconnect that umbilical cord of separation that we suffered, particularly under the ignominious slave trade business, is significant. But beyond that, and I keep saying, the African continent by far is probably the richest continent of God's earth, with significant opportunity, but its people are poor, because the global trade architecture has not been able to facilitate real growth and productivity on the continent. In the past, we've exported all our raw materials. Now we don't want to do that. And so reaching out, particularly to what we call, Akwesi mentioned, the global African is very important. Africa, like I did say, will potentially be the driver of the world's next economic growth. Could also be potentially the biggest, should I say, farm for the rest of the world, could feed the world. So the potential is huge. But if you take the African-American economy, for example, in the US, and just 10% of it is spent on the African continent, it will be extremely transformational. And if you take the African continent, now actually looking at it, Africa is the only continent that today is looking out. Most other places are looking in. And so we believe that it's important to have a dedicated program that reconnects all these possibilities and the potential of the continent. I'll finish by saying that very often people mention the risk of investing in Africa. Clearly, every research has shown that the returns merit it. The returns are good. But the real thing is that anybody who puts a cent or a dollar in Africa has significant returns to make, but also significant changes to the human quality of life and the human relationship. So when you come to Africa and invest, you're just not creating economic opportunity, but you're creating a much bigger opportunity of embracing the rest of the world. Africa will give you the raw materials, Africa will give you the land, and lastly, Africans, as my godfather of old said to me, Africans think with their hearts. We think with our hearts. We feel, we embrace people. And so you can't be at a better place than you are today. And the return really describes that message brilliantly. We will change the narrative and we will reposition Africa as a place where you have to be. And Ghana is spearheading that whole narrative.
We need each other. This is not about the city of Houston or the United States looking at how it can help Africa. It's about how each can benefit the other. By not investing, for example, in this continent, by not doing business, for example, with those in Ghana, we put ourselves at risk. We are living in an interconnected world. And quite frankly, we need a new paradigm that's created from a new vision. And it's not about just coming and taking or coming and investing, looking at it from one set of lens. It's about recognizing that when we sit down at the table and work together as equal partners, then we all benefit. And I think that's the critical component. I think what has happened early on during the slave trade, there was a lot of disconnection, a lot of separation. And the effects of that, the ill effects of that, still linger to this day. And quite frankly, all of us have been damaged by what occurred then. Now the question is, how do we rectify that? And how do we build a better future for all of our kids and for all of our families? And how do we show this younger generation and those who have yet to come that we've learned our lesson and that we are not going to wait until we see danger all over the place and then respond after the fact. We are here in Ghana. Quite frankly, we started in Nigeria, and then we went to Cote d'Ivoire, and now we're in Ghana because we recognize it's important to build on the relationship. And once you establish a solid relationship, you can do business. You can engage in trade. You can talk about energy transition and the resources that exist, for example, on the African continent. But how you approach those conversations is coming from a totally different perspective than what has been done in the past. Because now when we sit at the table, we're sitting at the table as brothers and sisters, or we're sitting at the table as partners with a healthy respect for one another, which will then produce a different result than what has happened in decades and centuries in the past. And so, for the sake of our children and those yet to come, it is important to establish a new paradigm with a new vision. And it's important, for example, for those of us in the United States to come, to visit, to see, and to engage in business with a different mindset, but recognizing that I'm not coming to save you. in part, we're coming to save each other. And if we don't, we do it at our own peril.
That he's going to drive tourism and development to this country. As of now, it's an average of 120,000, 130,000 tourists from the US every year. We want to double that in the next 2 years. With the support of the mayor and his team, we would do that. Last year, US accounted for 37% of all tourists coming to Ghana, 37 being the highest. And we are hoping that with the mayor and his team's assistance, this figure will double in 2 years. We are very grateful for that. What Africa and Ghana needs now is creating jobs for our young people. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, 3 out of every 10 jobs over the next decade will be created from the tourism sector. 3 out of every 10 jobs will be created from the tourism sector. That means that to create jobs for Africa's young people, 65% of them are below the age of 25 years. We need to invest a lot in tourism. So we want you to support us, win-win partnership to create the jobs. Our sector wants to create 150,000 jobs every year to the president's job creation agenda. And as my CEO of GRPC said, this is home. This is where the investment will yield returns. Investing in the US will give you just about 18% returns. And Europe gives you about 22%. Africa gives you 98% returns on investment. Yes. Yes. Tourism, hospitality, energy, agribusiness, key areas to invest in it. And I look forward to my meeting with you, my team in Houston, and by the grace of God, we will drive tourism and drive investment for both the benefit of both Ghana and the city of Houston. I want to welcome you again and to tell you, you are free to stay for another 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click on the bell for more updates.